like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.
This week, we're going to do a deep dive into something that's really shaken up the reality TV world.
Yeah.
You know, it's the kind of news that makes you just stop and think about the person you know behind the persona we see.
Right.
We're talking about Matthew Byars.
Oh, yeah.
You might know him from the Real Housewives of Potomac.
Mm-hmm.
He passed away recently, and it's just been sparking a lot of conversation, especially because the official cause of death was ruled a suicide.
Yeah. It's definitely a reminder that, you know, what we see on our screens isn't always the full story.
Right.
Especially with reality TV. You know, there's so much pressure to present a certain image.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, right? Like, how much of what we see is just a facade?
Yeah.
What's going on underneath, you know?
Well, and that's what's so interesting about these tributes that we've been seeing from other reality stars.
Yeah.
They give us these little glimpses into who Matthew was when the cameras were off.
Yeah, let's start with Melissa Gorga's Instagram post. She was clearly very close to him, and her words are just heartbreaking. You know, she talks about his infectious personality,
Yeah.
his jokes. You know, he wanted to do stand-up comedy. You really get the sense that she really saw him, you know?
Yeah, you can feel that closeness in her words.
Yeah.
But there's also just this like underlying sense of regret in her posts too.
Yeah.
She keeps saying, "Why didn't you tell me, Matt?" Like she didn't know.
Right.
It really highlights how even people who are super close to us can be struggling in silence.
And she even mentions how he helped her with her first performance of On Display.
Oh, wow.
You know, it just shows how supportive he was and how willing he was to help his friends.
Yeah, it makes you think about how complex mental health is, you know?
Right.
Here's someone who seems so loved and talented, successful by all accounts. But there was obviously something else going on that people maybe didn't fully grasp.
Now, Carice Jackson Jordan, another Housewives star, also posted a tribute.
Okay.
And it was just a picture of them together with the caption, "Rest in peace." Sometimes, you know, those few words just say it all.
Absolutely. It suggests that deep connection, a history that goes way beyond words.
Now let's talk about Karen Huger,
Okay.
a central figure on Real Housewives of Potomac.
Right.
She and Matthew had a long-standing connection, going back years.
Wow.
She's described him as, you know, wonderful, bubbly, successful, a powerhouse. She's even called herself Mama Karen in an interview.
Oh, wow.
You know, really highlighting how she tends to look after, you know, younger people like Matthew.
Yeah, and that's where it gets really interesting because you look at those past statements in light of his passing, and it paints this very specific picture.
Right.
You know, we see Matthew through Karen's eyes as this, like, vibrant, accomplished person.
She even talked about how they worked together, how their professional paths were, like, intertwined.
Wow.
She said, "Matt is wonderful, wonderful in PR. Matt is in a line of my agent, my booking person, and it works for me." It seemed like they had this great collaborative dynamic going on.
And she goes on to say, "Matt's a good guy. And us together, two powerhouses together, we make great things happen off screen and family and personal life. And we also make things happen fantastic on screen, as you noticed. We're good."
So you have this picture of them as this dynamic duo supporting each other both personally and professionally. And it makes you think about the pressure to keep up that image,
Totally.
especially in reality TV, where appearances are everything.
That's such a good point. We often only see these curated versions of people's lives, these carefully constructed narratives.
Right.
It's easy to forget that there are real people behind those facades with real emotions and real struggles.
It's a good reminder that there's always more to the story than meets the eye, isn't it?
Exactly. And sometimes those hidden stories can be so much more complex and painful than we might imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Like an iceberg, you just see the tip, you know,
Wow.
the part that they want us to see.
Yeah.
But underneath, it's just this massive hidden depth.
And I think that's so true for reality TV.
Because the line between reality and performance gets so blurred.
Totally. There's this constant pressure to entertain and create drama and just play up these big personalities.
Yeah.
You know, you start to think, does that ever affect their sense of self?
Well, remember when Matthew was first introduced to viewers?
When was that?
It was during Karen Huger's press conference
Oh, yeah.
back in season 3.
Okay.
You know, when she was addressing all those rumors about her finances.
Right, right.
I mean, it was intense.
Yeah.
And Matthew was right there with her,
Huh.
you know, offering support and helping her manage that whole situation.
And knowing how Karen talked about him, you know, how she mentored him, cared for him, it just adds another layer to that moment.
Right.
It really shows how much she trusted him.
To have him there in such a public and potentially vulnerable moment.
Yeah.
You know, it suggests a bond that went way beyond your typical reality TV friendship.
And it just underscores how complex their relationship really was. You know, we see them as this powerful duo. But who knows what was going on behind closed doors, the anxieties, the vulnerabilities, the pressure that, you know, viewers never saw.
And it really makes you think, how much do we all hide from the world?
Oh, absolutely.
Especially now,
Yeah.
you know, with social media. Everyone's just showing their best selves.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget that we all have our own struggles.
It's like we're all performing in a way.
Yeah.
Curating our image for everyone else.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
But we have to remember that there are real people behind those profiles.
Because at the end of the day, we're all complex people.
Yeah.
We've got all kinds of emotions. And sometimes those darker emotions, you know, the ones we don't want to talk about.
Right.
Those are the ones that need the most attention.
I think this whole situation with Matthew,
Yeah.
it reminds us that we need to be more aware of the signs that someone might be struggling.
Yeah.
Like, look beyond what you see on the surface and see the person underneath.
And create a space where people feel comfortable talking about their mental health
Right.
without being judged.
Because you never know.
Yeah.
Just knowing that someone cares
Right.
could make all the difference.
We need to stop thinking that talking about mental health is weak.
Absolutely.
It's actually really strong.
It shows self-awareness.
Right.
You know, taking care of yourself.
And we can all do our part by checking in on our friends.
Yeah.
Being mindful of the language we use. Creating those spaces where people feel safe to be vulnerable.
It's about shifting our perspective.
Yeah.
Not seeing people as these characters in a show,
Right.
but as real human beings who deserve compassion and understanding.
You know, it feels like we've been talking a lot about like the image people put out there.
Right.
But what about the people behind the scenes, you know?
Yeah.
Like the producers, the networks who are making these shows. Where do they fit in all of this?
That's a great question, and I think it's one we need to talk about more. There's definitely a responsibility there, you know, to take care of the people on their shows.
Do you think there are things they could do differently?
I do, yeah.
Like what?
Well, for one, I think they need to give the cast members better mental health support.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just have a therapist available. They need to be more proactive, you know? Think about the impact these shows can have on someone's mental health.
And it's not just reality TV either.
No, not at all.
We see the same thing with actors and musicians, athletes.
Anyone in the public eye.
It's like this systemic problem in the entertainment industry.
It is. It's like we think that just because someone is famous and rich, that they're immune to real life problems.
Right.
But it's actually the opposite. Fame just adds a whole new layer of pressure.
And we as viewers, we play a role in this too, don't we?
We absolutely do.
We're the ones who are drawn to the drama.
Yeah, the content.
The big personalities.
Right. We're the ones who are creating this demand for entertainment.
Yeah.
And sometimes that comes at the cost of someone's well-being.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, and we need to be more aware of that.
It's like what we were saying before, you know? Remember, these are real people.
Absolutely.
With real lives and real struggles.
Yeah. Maybe we need to think about the kind of entertainment we're consuming.
Yeah.
And what kind of impact it's having.
This whole conversation about Matthew's passing has been really eye-opening.
It really has.
You know, talking about the pressures of reality TV and mental health.
Yeah.
And the responsibility we all have.
I think it's a good reminder
that
we need to be kind and understanding. And remember that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is reach out for help.
Or be that person who listens.
Exactly.
Well, this has been a really heavy but important deep dive.
It has.
And as always, we hope this has given you all some things to think about.
Yeah.
So until next time.
Take care of yourselves.
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have a ball. I'm sweet like a buttercup. You're Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.